Well, hello and how are you? This is Shenandoah Briscoe, once again here in St. Charles, Missouri. Yes, I thought that I would do a little bit of narration voice today. The reason I'm doing a narration voice is because of the fact that I went to the reveal yesterday of the twins. Now, so far, what we've decided is that the twins are going to be both female. Now, this is not complete. Uh, this is information that is not complete yet. Therefore, we're going to find out more at a different date with a 3D ultrasound. So, that being said, while I was there at the reveal party, let me move this down here. Of course, it always looks like a freeze frame to me, so I don't know what you see. The reason I'm narrating today is because of the fact that while I was at the picnic, two of the people that were there were specialists in the field of medical equipment and or in the training field of wait a minute, I got lost. In the training field of caregivers. So therefore, I thought that maybe I would just kind of do a little bit of narration voice. If I am in the process of doing one of my blogs and one of my explanation type blogs was done in a narration voice, maybe that would be more of an assist to the person who is doing the training. I prefer to do mine in my hello and how are you natural speaking voice because the narration voice just isn't quite as entertaining, and so therefore I do not want to take my caregivers and bore them to death. So I like to try to make it exciting as possible for my caregivers to be here. That being said, earlier I was going to do something from yesterday. I was going to narrate something that I had remembered doing at a long time ago. Oh yes, I remember going to the Museum of Transportation, and at that point in time, I was about 8 years old. When I was 8 years old, we took a field trip in school. I don't know if they still take field trips these days, but back at that point in time, we used to take field trips. I was kind of into history quite a bit, so we took field trips down to like Main Street in St. Charles, and we would go through the First Capitol building and the general store near in the same First Capitol building site, the down below, in which we would also go throughout the First Capitol buildings. They would show things such as rope beds, which they used ropes to as a spring system, so that whenever you would have the crisscross ropes on the frame, then you could tighten them and loosen them to make your bed as comfortable as you would prefer it. Now, back to the Museum of Transportation. We went to the Museum of Transportation, and they had a car known as the Gold Car. Well, during our trip whenever I was 8 years old, I remember them telling us about the reason that the car was called the Gold Car. And when I was 12 years old, I went to the Gold Car again, and the guide did not have any idea of why the car was called the Gold Car. So I proceeded to take over where the guide had left off. I said, realizing why this is called the Gold Car is because when the bank robbers came in to rob the or when they had pulled over the train to rob the train, there were several men playing cards back here in the gold car. Well, in lieu of losing their gold, they took all their gold and they threw it in the potbelly stove. Now, when the robbers came in and couldn't find, and the gamblers didn't tell them where the gold was, they shot all the gamblers. So to this date, the gold is still here in the potbelly stove. Whereas I went over and opened the potbelly stove, and I reached in and grabbed the bag of gold and proceeded to hand out gold nuggets to each of the people in the tour. Now, the actual guide was looking at me kind of strange because I was only 12 years old. How would I know any of this story? That was because of my retaining from back when I was 8 years old and on that particular tour. Sorry, narration voice is getting very boring to me. So therefore I'm going to go back to hello and how are you? That's right, hello and how are you? I did say this is blog number 101, didn't I? Well, blog number 101 is quite the big number. That makes this May the 11th. That's right, May the 11th. It's kind of getting, well, it's about a little past midday during the day today, and the sun is shining outside. That's right, the sun is shining outside. Quite breezy, but that's beside the point. If you can get yourself situated in the sun and out of the wind, then chances are you're going to stay mighty warm, even though the temperature out there is not going to be the highest. Matter of fact, I could check the temperature by pulling up a random website and going to the weather. Wake up. Give me local weather for 63301. Backspace. Backspace. Spacebar. 4. Spacebar. Go to sleep. Yes, see, the current temperature outside is only 71 degrees. And so therefore 71 degrees for me is not that warm. Being a quadriplegic in a wheelchair, see, our basic, we're pretty much like, because we cannot feel below our chest area and or spinal cord injury, people cannot feel certain areas of their body. They don't really realize how warm it is or how cold it is outside. And therefore, in my situation, from here down, I cannot feel temperature. So I am cold all the time. Therefore, 71 degrees, not warm for me. So I will go outside and find myself a nice sunny spot out of the breeze, and I will be able to keep myself warm like a lizard on a rock or a snake on a rock. Anyway, that's how I go. Hopefully this is helping you out, Marie. I say that with like I have just mentioned your name, just because of the fact that you had made mention that you get to watch some of these, but not all of these. So therefore, I figured this would help out your team that you've been trying to train for the last few weeks. You know, I'm going to forward this one to you, but I'll also forward the range of motion ones to you and the bow routine. All my bow routine protocols. Okay? All right. Now it is 9 minutes into the program, which means I should do something other than just sit here and talk. Well, maybe not. people were telling me about my situation that it is most helpful for them to understand more about being a handicapped citizen in St. Charles, Missouri. Most of the time, we do have the major parts of the town are covered with sidewalks, which is good and helpful for wheelchair-bound people. Therefore, we used to have an excellent transportation mode of transportation called the trolley. And on the trolley, you could go and get buckled down and ride the trolley from Beefeater's Grill down here on the north end of town, which is right at the, well, I was going to say the corner, but it's in the RV park across from Tecumseh. Not Tecumseh. Evans. I think you go straight across to Evans, and you go into the RV park, and then there is Beefeater's Restaurant and Grill right back there. And so therefore the trolley would come by and pick me up there, and it would run all the way across town, going through the columns, over at the columns, and then go through the parking lot and the hotel there in front of the, in front of the convention center, and across over into Bass Pro parking lot. And then it would turn back around and head all the way back down to the it would go up Main Street, and it would go up Riverside Drive. Then it would go through the casino, and then it would go work its way around the columns, and then it would come back down and go down Main Street, and it would go back out to the Beefeaters, and it would make that loop every 15-20 minutes. Now the only type of transportation in St. Charles is called the SCAT bus, which is a senior citizens transportation. So therefore, if I would like to take a ride on that senior citizens transportation, I need to call in advance at least 3 days to be able to have a driver who knows how to connect my wheelchair to the safety hold downs, which are inside the vehicle. I prefer just to drive around town instead, so therefore I've gotten my batteries to where they are charged up enough to be able to do so. Right now they are on a low charge, which means I should plug them up at least half battery capacity if they are gel cell batteries in my hover round wheelchair, because that is what the hover round battery charger manual says. I am going to have to point that out to Hoveround, by the way, because Hoveround at the same time is telling their representatives that are out selling the chairs and repairing the chairs that they should be plugged in every night. Now, with the electrolyte batteries, that would be true, but seeing as how most everybody is using gel batteries, they should be plugged in at least at half charge, if not less than half charge, all the way down to, I usually run mine all the way down to the end, and when I've got flashing lights, that's when I plug in, so that I may get a full charge on my battery and can create the 22 miles that it stipulates that battery life should have in it. Anyway, that being said, this is Shenandoah Briscoe saying hello, and how are ya? You all know that God loves you, and so do I. So you all have a blessed day, and we'll check you tomorrow, okay? Alrighty then.